Good morning, wherever you're joining us from. Welcome to the market call for today, the 22nd of May 2026. We're excited to have you all here joining us today on the market call. My name is CJ, and together with my awesome colleagues, we're going to be taking you through the market call for today, being Friday. Today's market call recap, where we'll show you all the things that have played out in the week prior and what we are expecting to see at the end of the week. And finally, we're going to also show you some of our projections as we exit the week into the next week. So we're going to be heading straight into the chart as we comment our analysis. We're going to be starting off with gold against the dollar, and then we look at the yen, pairs, euro, USD, we look at currency indices, and then we're going to also be looking at stock indices rather, and then we'll be looking at commodity pairs. Together with me here, we have Demola, Cynthia, and Abby, and we're going to be taking you through the market color. Welcome once again. So whether you're joining us from Lagos, London, New York, wherever you're joining us from, this is the market color. Good morning to you. Straight into the charts, we're starting off with gold against the dollar. Now, if you look at gold on the daily time frame, we have been having some kind of mixed bias on gold, but right now we're having a clear bias, which is a clear sell. Right, gold is looking like a very, very clear sell. You can also see how that price is broken and closed below this particular point right here, below this low right here. Price is closed below it. So this is giving us a confirmation that there's been a clear return of structure back to the downside after we saw that 4-hour EOS that happened a couple of weeks ago, which was right here. But price has gone back to break it, and we are resuming on the sell trend. So since then, we've been seeing sell moves to the downside on gold, and we intend to continue following with that. So this week, gold has been bearish, and we intend to follow the trend to make the most of it. Now, this morning on gold, we expect that gold will continue selling all the way to the downside. And then one of the places that I personally have been looking for a sell on gold is on the 5 minutes time frame, which was right here. So right now you're seeing that gold look to have tapped that region, but we still are very optimistic that it might come back up once again, mostly because of this fair value gap right here. So I'm expecting to see gold buy all the way to this region again before the final drop, because if you zoom closely, it didn't look as though price traded into the fair value gap. It just looked like it tapped into it. So I'm thinking it may have a very much more convincing move into this region here before the final drop to the downside. So I'm expecting a sell-off on gold, and with that I have a short position pending around here, and I expect to see gold trade it all the way to the downside. And one of the regions I'll be looking out for is, for my take profit, is the low of yesterday. So I'll be targeting the low of yesterday to exit this particular trade. So this is trade I'm waiting out for on gold, and hopefully price comes and gives us an entry into this level before we sell. Okay, that's what we're looking out for on gold. Now let's look at other pairs quickly, and then we'll be moving to the analysis for the JPY. Since gold is clear for us, let's move to the JPY. Now for the JPY, if you look at it on the daily time frame, it has been stalling, even though we have a clear bearish bias on the JPY, but it has been stalling. We've been seeing rejections upon rejections all through the week. You can see how that has been playing out. But of course, overall, we're expecting a sell-off on the yen pair. All right, and we just hope that plays out this week. All right, since this week it has been pretty quiet, except for on Tuesday. We've not had a major intervention since, and we expect it to continue playing out. So if you look at GBP JPY, we've been expecting a sell this week, but GBP/JPY has not been forthcoming since on Monday after the bullish run. It has not given us any clear entry. Yesterday was even the worst of the week because we had a very, very sketchy price action right here. So for GBP/JPY, I'll just stay out and watch, wait for the resumption of the sell trend, and then I'll join it, because my bias for it is a sell. So I'll be waiting for the sell trend before I join on GBP/JPY sell. Same thing goes for Euro JPY. I have a sell bias, so I'm waiting for the sell trend to resume before I join the sell. All right, so after that, we'll be waiting. Once there's a clear breakout on GBP/JPY, Euro JPY, or USD JPY for a sell, then we'll be taking the sell. Right now, it is currently ranging. You can see how it has been doing so for the past couple of days. Look at this price action. It has been a clear range. Same thing for the others. It has just been a clear range. We'll wait and see how it's going to break out. Once it does so, we will be taking our trades in the direction as predicted. Okay, so these are the things that we have for you today, and these are the things that we've looked at. We're expecting them to give us possible entries as we proceed into the remaining parts of the month, which will be next week. Okay, so quickly we're going to be looking at stock indices, and to share information on that and give us analysis of that, we'll be having Demola joining us on the market color this morning. Good morning, Demola.
Good morning, CJ. Thank you so much for the recap. All right. Once again, we'll be looking at the indices market. what we have. Oh, sorry for the breaking transmission. We had some levels marked out not last week, the last time we spoke. That's on Monday on the indices market. We'll be looking at them and whatever our analysis is. The first one will be on US 30, right? I remember last week we had this level marked out. We had our area of interest, all of these zones. We're looking pretty much very good. And then we're expecting price to dig into that, but then we didn't see that happen. Instead, we saw a break of structure to the upside, and then price now did what? Price used this other block, right? After we see shift of structure, right? Shift of character, anyone you want to call it, a change of structure, a shift in market structure, anyone, and then price dug into this other block, right? Created some form of inducement. This will be the first one. Let me delete this. Created this inducement, this first inducement, and then what happened? We saw a dig into this zone, and from there, what did price do? Ultimately, to this our zone, and it entered this zone. We are very careful about the first time, right? Now I knew for sure, since price we saw this rejection here, this minor rejection here. I knew this level is will no longer hold, right? Because price has reacted there the first time, although that was a minor one. This second one dug deep into it. I believe by New York market open, we would see a rally to the upside, right? And then seeing that rally to the upside, that will give us our break of previous high, which we've been anticipating for months now, right? Price might finally break, might finally create a new high, right? Create a new high like US 100, that's Nasdaq, and also S&P 500. So that's what I'm waiting for patiently. Really, we have also another area that's of interest here, where we could see some rejection. If price come all the way down into this zone, then we should see like a rejection from this zone to the upside, to continue to the upside, right? Although it's very far, let's look at 30 minutes to see if there's any. Okay, there isn't. So if for any reason we see any rejection into this zone, although this is also another breaker block, I'm seeing two zones here, right? We have breaker block just above, and then we have another block that's not been tested below. So any of them, price can use either of them, right, to continue its direction, right? And we have some form of inducement here. So we'll just see like a sharp drop into these zones and then continue to the upside. So those are what we have this morning. Continuing with US 100, that's Nasdaq. On the daily time frame, you can see Nasdaq has broken its own all-time high from only God knows when, April, right? And then we are seeing we saw a rejection and price gradually filling it up to the upside. Like I mentioned for NAS 100, it's quite difficult to know where price is going to reverse from because it's a new area of price discovery, right? So we are just being careful so that we don't over leverage or overconfidence now comes into play, because right now we are just gathering data. From what it looks like, even right now, with what I'm seeing here, we could see a drop to the downside, right? This is good for a sell setup. However, fundamentally speaking, right, we know that the market is still very, very much bullish. This is like a good box strategy, right? And we have this fair value gap that's not been tested before. Price has actually gotten into it. So we should see a drop from this zone, typically, just looking at it from technical perspective. However, it's not enough to just look at this market from a technical perspective alone, right? Alone, you have to consider everything happening together. Else, you might be caught up in the entire in the entire drama happening, right? But notwithstanding, on the 30 minutes time frame, let's see if we have a setup. Price has mitigated everything here. Price has mitigated this zone, but it can still come back again into this zone, right? It can still come back again into this zone and then continues its own direction, or we see a sharp fall from here. So if I see something like this, if I see something, this is perfect kind of trade setup you're having now. I want to see something like this, a sharp drop, and then boom, I can now sell, right? That will be on 30 minutes or even 15 minutes, right? So I want to see like a box pattern, a mini box pattern on 30 minutes or even 15 minutes. Let's say 15 minutes, right? And then that will now give me confidence to take a sell. And with that, I can have more refined entry, right? Instead of looking at the overall zone here, I can have more refined entry. If we see that sharp drop and then price giving us other block entry or fair value gap entry, I can have like good risk to reward from this zone and get out at 1:4, 1:5, right? Immediately, like nothing difficult. Something like this, and then back my this is 1:4 already. 1:4 from this zone to this zone, right? And then if for any reason price extends beyond this, probably I'll not be in the market again, but I know that for sure this one is going to be secured, right? So, but then we'll be looking at what New York market open does, and that will give us more confidence to either go for a sell or continue with our buy in this market. On S&P 500, we have this area that we marked out, and then price did a thing, although rally did a lot of drama. The price action was too dramatic. The first one, on the first day, we had almost 1:3, almost 1:3, 1:2.8, right? The first day that we saw the setup, that's on Monday, and then price just moved smoothly. And this was our target. Remember, this was our overall target, right? And then what happened next was very funny. Came back to entry, went up, came back, almost stopped us out, and then finally now give us that delivery, right? It was very chaotic from Monday to Thursday. Most likely we'll just be panicking, seeing the whole price action and how it's moving. But it finally delivered, and we are here. So far, so good. So on the 1 hour time frame, let's see what we have. Let's see what we have. Really speaking, the price is still bullish, right? So we want to okay, let me delete this. This is gone. Let's focus on what we have now. Okay, so if I'm looking for areas for me to buy, then I'll be looking at this zone, right? It has not been mitigated yet, at least not yet. And then I have some form of inducement on beneath the zone. So I want to, check out this area for my buy. Somebody that is looking for a refinance will do like this, but then just to be conservative, you want to extend this is 1:2, not really juicy like that, honestly speaking, except if we reduce the stop loss, conserve it. This now 1:3. But okay, depending on how the market goes, right? Depending on what I see in the market, that if I see a sharp drop, right? A sharp dump into this zone, and then price rejects it immediately, then I know that I don't need to cover all of this SL position, because most likely we'll just see a sharp drop and then rejection, then bullish continuation to the upside. However, if it came down gradually and then it traded lower low, lower high, and then got into this zone, then probably we want to now extend the stop loss so that our venture price still want to react around this zone before it now changes position gradually. We know that we won't be stopped out. but a simple drop and rejection wouldn't necessitate that we have all of these zone cover, because most likely price will just dig into this and then continue in its original direction. All right, so that's like the recap of what we have. This week on S&P 500, we only made money there with a 1:3.6. That's it again. Let me remember clearly. I hope our markup can still be recovered. Oh, the markup is gone. A 3.6 RR. That's what we made this week on S&P 500. It's good. Although if you held all through, you'll have gone through some patience training, because from Monday till Thursday, the market was ranging and finally delivered on Thursday. So it's not bad. That's one part of the things you learn with trading the market. All right. We'll be moving very quickly now to dollar analysis with GBP USD, Euro USD. We'll be getting information from Cynthia, a recap of what happened in the market this week and how to best position for next week. Over to you, Cynthia. How
Good
is it going?
morning, Demola. Thank you so much for that very wonderful analysis and very insightful too. Right, so we'll just head straight to the chart to see what the XY and the lags are doing. Just confirm if you can see my screen. Let me pull it up again. So I'm certain you all can see my screen, right?
Yes, your screen is on.
Okay. Having. Okay, so on the XY, if you were here during the analysis we had on Monday, we were looking out for more buy opportunities on the XY, and we've been looking at this point of interest for a period of time now, right? For price to trade right back into 107.490 on the weekly time frame. There's still so much journey to that side. And coming down to daily time frame, price actually tapped into this level. The classic box pattern is right there. So we understand why price is actually reacting off that point. Price tapped into 97.912 and we're seeing it heading to the upside. I am speculating that it's going to clear out this high at 100.612. There's even liquidity residing right there. So into next week, since the market closes by end of day today, we should see more push to the upside. This buy on the XY just started, so we should see more push to the upside and more opportunities in the market. Coming down to the 4-hour time frame right here, liquidity has been built here, so we should see a grab of liquidity and the continuation to the upside. So am I interested in buying the XY? I want to keep buying the XY even on the 4-hour time frame. So I would like to see a pullback into this classic box pattern here, 98.591. There's a shoulder residing at this price level, 98.591. Shoulder sweep break. Once price returns into this level, I want to keep buying the XY. I'm still very bullish on the XY. My bias hasn't changed even a bit on the XY. Even on the 1-hour time frame, we're seeing some range, build of liquidity. We should see sharp push to the upside and even more buys. If you see any sell on the XY, rest assured that that's just a pullback for the continuation of the buy on the XY. And I've already called out the various points of interest, even on the 4-hour time frame, as to where I want to buy from. So I'm willing to swing it once price gets to that level. right? And on GBP USD, the dollar correlated pairs on the weekly time frame, I beg your pardon, I want to see price retracing right back into 1.24683. Why? Yes, nothing to be confused right here. The classic box pattern, 1.24683 shoulder sweep break. Once price returns into this level, I want to buy GBP USD. So I'm looking out for a sell to buy on the weekly time frame, indicating that there's still more room for sell on GBP USD to the downside, all the way to that price point that we just called out. And on the daily time frame, right, a swing trader, and you were right on time to spot this classic box pattern on daily time frame, then it means that you're willing to hold for a very long period of time, because price has already tapped into this level, right? Price tapped into this level, traded above, still within that region, and now we're seeing some reaction to the downside. Of course, my first point of taking profit would be this low at 1.31754, and my second TP is going to be right here, 1.30066. This is just indicating that there's still more room for the sell on GBP USD, and we just want to keep riding those sells. Right. On the 4-hour time frame also, we're seeing that price has even broken, I beg your pardon, broken below, right? This low has been taken, right? There was a build of liquidity right here, and then price traded below. And we're seeing some push to the downside, I beg your pardon. On the 1-hour time frame, let's see if we can spot an entry on the 1-hour time frame. There is none right here. Let's head to the much lower time frames so we could look out for sell opportunities. Right. On the 15-minute time frame right here, it's very far. So I'm looking out for a buy to sell on the 15 minutes time frame, a buy into 1.36125, and a sell off that point. So there's still room for more sell opportunities on GBP USD, and I just want to see price retracing right back into this left shoulder. And once that happens, I want to keep shorting GBP USD. And last on my list being Euro USD. Let's see what price has for us there. Probably going to be the same thing. So on Monday, we actually analyzed that we're looking out to sell GBP USD and Euro USD, and that was exactly what we saw happening on the weekly time frame. We still are speculating and looking for price to trade into this left shoulder, 1.06916 shoulder sweep break, return right back into this left shoulder, and I want to keep buying Euro USD. And if you come down to the daily time frame, let's see what price has for us. And of course, price traded into this level, right? If you're right on time, you'll have spotted this. Traded right back into this left shoulder, and we're seeing some push to the downside with not so much momentum though. So I'm looking out for price to come and clear this low residing at 1.14138. So there's still more room for us to keep selling Euro USD. And if you come down to the 4-hour time frame, right, we speculated that we're looking out for sell opportunities, and that was exactly what happened. Tapped into the left shoulder on the daily time frame, and we're seeing some push to the downside. And as our analysis says, we still have more opportunities to sell Euro USD. And if you come down to the 1-hour time frame, there's nothing confusing here. The direction, the trend, everything is just pointing downward. So what we should be concerned with is entries, where we want to enter from, right? This is quite choppy, right? There's no entry on the 15 minutes time frame for Euro USD. So my preferred sell today and even into next week is for me to look out for when price trades into that level that we marked on GBP USD, because while we keep looking out for entry opportunities on Euro USD. So our analysis on Monday was we want to keep selling Euro USD and GBP USD, and we want to buy DXY. That was exactly what played out this week, and we were even able to spot some entries on GBP USD being our most preferred trade for today. With that being said, Abby, what are you seeing in the commodity markets this morning?
Hello, Cynthia. Hi, everybody. Welcome and welcome once again to the VFT Market Color session. So, very quickly, we are going to go into the commodity currency markets to see what played out this week and what we are looking forward to playing out in the coming week. So, stay tuned. Firstly, we're starting with AUD USD. And you'd see that on 5-minute time frame, we had marked out certain level points where we said price was either going to buy, targeting the next point of interest, or violate it to give us the opposite price movement, because we had two directions in our eyesight on Monday. Eyesight. So price came and tested this zone. It came back to retest this level that we had marked out, gave us somewhere around 30 pips, I believe. Let's count that and see. Yeah, almost 40 pips before it now came to validate this zone and continue to sell. So we had made some money from this before the trend changed direction, but it was not surprising. We had that in mind, hence why we marked out this zone to see what price would do around this particular level. And now AUD USD gave us more sell moves for the week than it did on the buy side. So now that this has happened and we've made some money, because remember, the strategy all weather gives you opportunity to be able to move very swiftly with what the market is showing. We're now looking at what could happen moving into next week. So coming back to the higher time frame, H4 specifically, what do I see? AUD still looks predominantly to the upside. Zooming in is where we now have the change of character that this sell that happened this week influenced. You see how it happened, right? It was a change of character before, and now looking like a confirmatory break of structure to the downside on this asset class. So now that this has been printed, I'm taking note of the sunshine that was printed to the upside. I'm taking note that there is no new sunshine that has been printed here. It is possible that we see a bit more push to the upside before the sell is continued, most likely to give us an even better entry for this AUD USD sell. So you see that I already marked out some points of interest on the 1 hour time frame. The first one being 0.71947. Is it possible that from where price currently is, we may see some buys that will come and kiss this zone before we now see the sell continued? Very, very possible. I'm watching out for that. Is it also possible that price will just violate this level and continue to sell? Of course. What will make this clearer is the confirmations that we're going to see on Monday. So make sure you don't miss out on the market color session that will be coming Monday. But from what I'm seeing now, I would want to see AUD USD give me a temporal buy, a better pullback for the sell to continue. We could even go further to the 5-minute time frame and just quickly mark out our levels. Although come Monday, we're going to have to get new levels on the charts following how this indicator works. So marking out yesterday's high and yesterday's low on the chart right here, and then day before yesterday's high and low. These are basically our support and resistance levels that we are watching out for to see what price does around these zones based on what price has done in the past. So these are now my 4 major POIs that I've marked out on AUD USD. This is where price currently is. It is currently in a range because they're traded back into our indicators and they are all intertwined. If we see a separation of price from here and a break below, there's going to be more sales that will come and hit the support first before we even see any sort of buy if there will be. However, if the support level holds, because price is currently at a key support level that is 0.71268, best believe AUD USD is going to give us this buy, hit the next resistance level, maybe even violate it to go and target all the way to the 1 hour point of interest that we marked out. So right now we are watching to see what price does. If I see a confirmation on M5 that gives me the buy, that gives me incentive that the buy is going to be a stronger move, I'll take a quick buy from here to here. And if price violates it, giving me more incentive for the downside, I am going to be taking that sell. This is why it is important that you enroll for our Forex Bootcamp training starting on Monday, So you can learn what these confirmatory patterns I'm talking about are, and also have access to these customized indicators that we have at the VFT Academy. Okay, so looking at this now, moving forward, we can now quickly look at Forex Factory to see the high impact news release that came out as related to the Aussie, which is the AUD. So we had one come out on Thursday, employment change and unemployment change, right? Now, if you're familiar with the Forex Factory, you know how this goes. If you're not, all you want to do when you come on here is just to click on this folder and it will give you a translation of what happened. Now, we had data come out on employment change, and ideally, when this comes out, you want to see that the actual data that comes out is greater than what was forecasted. Hence, you'd see more strengths go into the Aussie. In this case, not only was it lower, it is even in the minus. So it was very, very low compared to what was forecasted, which is giving me incentive that there may be more weakness going into the Australian dollar moving into next week. Also for the unemployment rate as well, actual less than forecast is good for currency. This is the actual, and this was what was forecasted. If this came out lesser than what was forecasted, it would mean that lesser people in the economy are out of jobs, right? However, it came out greater than, meaning that more people are unemployed as time goes on, which is also showing more weakness for the Australian dollar as a currency. So this is giving me insight that there may be, more weaknesses for this asset class moving forward. So with that being said, let us now look at NZUSD and see what happened on this asset class. On NZUSD, same thing, we marked out our level point. This was Monday's price movement. Price gave us over 40 pips on this asset class. It bought from our key points of interest, traded back into our indicator. This was 48 pips that it did before it now continued to sell. Now, NZUSD is in a range, even on the 5-minute time frame. It's looking to be okay. There's been a separation, but this is currently still jumbled up. Go to the 1-hour time frame and you see what I'm talking about. This is what we have here. Everything is just scattered. It's just been going high, up and down, up and down, up and down. So I'm going to wait on relax on this asset class till I see a better separation, and then we're going to talk about this on Monday. And then finally looking at USD CAD on the 5-minute time frame, USD CAD gave us beautiful buy opportunities. It just came, the levels that we marked out, this was tested first, and then multiple test opportunities on that same Monday came for us to take this buy opportunity on USD CAD. And from those points of interest that we had marked out to how far USD CAD bought, we had over 60 pips achieved on this asset class. So this has happened. What are we now looking forward to moving into the next week, rather? So on the H4 time frame, this buy has happened and it bought so much so that people who were riding that buy have now taken out their profit, hence the profit taking indicator we see printed here. Because of this, I'm expecting a temporary retracement or an eventual reversal. And where could this retracement move into? The POIs that you see marked out here on the chart, points of interest 1 is now 1.37567. Points of interest 2 is 1.37345, and the point of interest 3 is 1.37042. These are the levels I'm watching out for when price starts to retrace. Remember that we also stated we're looking at another fundamental new release coming out on the Canadian dollar. This came out on Tuesday, I believe. Yes, let's look at that together. So this was Tuesday, and we had CPI data come out on the Canadian dollar. Again, same thing, similar to the other. You want to read this, simply click on this document folder. Actual greater than forecast would be good for currency, meaning that if what was forecasted was 0.7% and what came out was higher than this, then we'll be seeing more strength going into the Canadian dollar. However, it came out lower than expected. Because of that, the Canadian dollar lost strength and the US dollar gained more strength against the Canadian dollar. Hence why you see USD CAD giving us these beautiful buy opportunities, because the dollar is stronger or was stronger than the Canadian currency. So this is pretty much what we have for this week and how price played out. Moving into next week, we are going to be watching to see even better opportunities and making more money off this market. At this point, I would say thank you very much for joining the session. It has been very insightful with every one of us here, and I look forward to seeing us come the next session. All right, have an amazing weekend, and don't forget to spend some time looking at the markets. Thank you for joining. Cheers and God bless.